When American troops deployed to Europe to fight Hitler, they also brought Jim Crow with them. It wouldn't be until 1948, well after World War II, that the U.S. finally banned segregation in the armed forces. Before that, the military kept white and non-white troops apart. Black soldiers who volunteered for combat were told, give up your rank and take a pay cut. After all, the Army couldn't have a black sergeant commanding a white private, now could they? For black soldiers stationed in the little English village of Bamber Bridge, they weren't having it. They stood up to racism and discrimination. The price paid for such a transgression? One African-American soldier shot dead, and more than 30 others court-martialed for mutiny. This is their story. This is African American History is American History.
Throughout World War II, military police were tasked with enforcing the South's strict segregation rules, even while deployed overseas. The U.S. Army's Jim Crow policy, for instance, was one where white soldiers could go into town on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and black soldiers could go Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. This ensured that the races were kept apart, and that Jim Crow was alive and well, even across the Atlantic. But when black troops arrived in England, many noticed something different. No lynchings, no racial slurs, no dangerous threats hanging over their heads. The British treated black American soldiers, as allies, as equals. That was especially true in Bamber Bridge. In 1943, the town had only about 12,000 people, but it became home to the 1511th Quartermaster Truck Regiment, a black unit commanded by white officers who were billeted elsewhere, which meant it was the black soldiers who the locals saw every day. Through dances, pubs, and conversation, the townspeople and the soldiers built friendships. Meanwhile, back home, America was burning. Between June 20th and 22nd, 1943, Detroit erupted in one of the worst race riots in U.S. history. Dozens were killed, most of them black. When news reached the troops in England, it hit hard. They were risking their lives for democracy abroad, while their own families were denied their rights at home. The U.S. military feared the unrest might spread. Their solution? Crack down harder. More curfews, more harassment, and above all, preventing what they most dreaded, black soldiers fraternizing with local white women.
This is African American History is American History.
June 24th, 1943. Private Eugene Nunn returned from a supply run to Manchester. Near closing time, he stopped at the Ye Old Hob Inn, a centuries-old pub just around the corner from camp. It was a favorite spot for black soldiers and locals to relax. Nunn, still in his work uniform, was approached by two white MPs, Corporal Roy Windsor and Private First Class Ralph Ridgway. They reprimanded him for not wearing his dress uniform in the pub. Then they tried to arrest him, but the other black soldiers and a number of the white villagers weren't having it. They shouted back, "None had done nothing wrong." The confrontation spilled into the street. A crowd formed, outnumbering the MPs. The MPs retreated, but promised to return. And they did, with reinforcements, and jeeps mounted with machine guns. In response, black soldiers raided the local armory. They knew a fight was coming. The showdown erupted on Station Road, which was Bamber Bridge's main road. Beforehand, the black soldiers went door to door, urging locals to stay inside. They had no quarrel with the townspeople who had treated them with respect. Then, the shooting started. For 5 hours, bullets ricocheted up and down Station Road. More than 400 rounds were fired into the night. Eunice Byers, who lived to 106 and only passed away in 2024, recalled watching gunfire outside her window all night long. A link to Eunice Byers' 2006 interview can be found in the description for this episode. By morning, June 25th, the streets were quiet again. But Private William Crossland lay dead. The Army claimed he was killed in crossfire. Witnesses said otherwise, that he was shot in the back. Today, his grave lies in Cambridge, England. The headstone lists no cause of death.
This is African American History is American History.
In all, 35 black soldiers were court-martialed, 28 convicted of mutiny. Sentences ranged from 3 months to 15 years. Some had their sentences reduced because the Army still needed their labor, but none were ever exonerated. General AAHIAH, commander of the 8th Air Force, admitted the white MPs bore much of the blame. He ordered some reforms, but acknowledgement was not justice.
The men who fought at Bamber Bridge may have carried their story to their graves. Their descendants may never know how they stood up to a segregated army that saw them as less than. They may never know the fine impression those black troops made on the citizens of Bamber Bridge, England. But the people of Bamber Bridge never forgot, because they never saw the black Americans as less than. They saw them as soldiers, as men, as equals. And they were very proud to have them in their town as allies in the fight for freedom. This has been African American History is American History. I'm Harlan Kearsley, and on behalf of everyone involved with African American History is American History, thank you for listening. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe. Once you do, you'll be notified as soon as new episodes are posted. Thanks again, and please stay safe. African American History is American History. Copyright H.C. Kearsley, 2025.